Okay, hey everybody, this is the 14th of October 23, day 8 of the Israeli-Gaza war. Today there are more than 1,300 Israeli casualties, 127 Israeli hostages, including children and elderly, and more than 2,000 Palestinian casualties. For both, ultimately, Hamas is to blame. And today I want to talk to you about some broader perspective, since there are no crucial updates from the war as of the time of recording. And the subject that I would like to delve into is why lifting the blockade from Gaza will never work as a meaningful way to achieve sustained peace. And in order to understand that, we need to go back in time to 2005, where the Israeli disentanglement from Gaza agreement happened. And what you need to understand is that before 2005, Israel had settlements inside the Gaza Strip. So you can see one right here on the northern border, and another small one here, and another even smaller one here, and a lot of villagers crammed together in a cluster right here. And all the red zone is the Palestinian area of the Gaza Strip. And Ariel Sharon, our prime minister, head of the government back then, he decided to unilaterally withdraw from the Gaza Strip. Just take all of our settlers and all of our military forces and just go out without asking anything in return. Just give them complete freedom, and they won't be our problem anymore, and that should be it. We give up this territory. And there were many reasons to do it and many reasons not to do it. And it was a very fierce political debate with a lot of protests in the Israeli nation. I'm gonna go through the main reasons why and why not, so that you understand the context and why we eventually did it. So let's start with the reasons against. First, no free gifts. Many Israeli politicians thought that if we give something to the other side, we should get something in return, right? We give them a lot of area, we take our forces out. What will you give in return? Will you recognize Israel? Will you say that you won't try to kill us anymore? Will you refrain from terrorist attack? What's gonna be what are we gonna get out of it, right? But Sharon decided we're gonna do a trust building move, and we're gonna do it without any guarantees from the other side. Another reason not to do it is the loss of Israeli villages. There were, as I've shown you, there were plenty Israelis, there were almost 10,000 Israelis, and taking them out of area and losing this area is painful for every country. Also, many said that we will be perceived as weak in the face of terror, and this will encourage terrorist groups to continue and accelerate their efforts because they see that it's working and we give up territory. So they see that what they do work and they'll continue to do it, right? So they thought we shouldn't do it. We should keep fighting as hard as we can. And of course, the Israelis that lived there, they acquired the ground legally in terms of our political laws, and they had jobs and they had children, and just by force transferring them to another place is a very cruel thing to do to any person, right? So these were the reasons against the disentanglement. Now let's go for the reasons for it. First and foremost, just like today, there were no partner for peace on the other side. No Palestinian group that really wants to live, to coexist side by side and prosper. There was a complete freeze in the political negotiations for peace, and Sharon wanted to break this stalemate by doing something that will build trust and will give authority and agency to the Palestinians. Also, should have increased safety for us, because obviously there were a lot of conflicts in these settlements. We invested a lot of army forces in order to secure them, and we lost daily the citizens and soldiers to this effort. And truth be told, by getting out of the Gaza Strip, we did stop losing that many lives on a daily basis, even though as we all know now, it was just delayed, not stopped. The third reason is to remove responsibility for ourselves. We could now say, here, look, we don't control them. There is no occupation anymore. And if they hurt us, it's because it's of their own accord, right? They have no reason for it. We don't occupy them anymore. They are responsible for their own fate, and if they hurt us, we can hurt them back without any guilty conscience, right? Any moral applications. And lastly, President Bush Jr. declared that if we do this, the USA will not support the right of return for the Palestinians, which means that if a father or grandfather of a Palestinian were born in Israel, it gives the right for citizenship to the descendant. So the USA will not support this right for the Palestinians and let Israel keep its settlements in the West Bank. And of course, maybe he thought that maybe President Bush thought that this declaration of his will be a commitment of the following presidents, but Obama did not care about it at all. For him, it was void, right? So I think Sharon should have insisted on something a little bit more formal than a declaration and a letter. Anyway, in 2005, specifically on the 17th of August, 8,600 Israeli settlers were evacuated from the settlements in the Gaza Strip. It was a very, very painful process for them, obviously, for all of us to watch this. Many of them have to be evacuated by force, but we did it because we wanted peace. We wanted the Palestinians to prosper and let us prosper, and we just evacuated, transferred all of these people. And moving on to 2006, a year later, several things happened. First, the Palestinian Authority, which were ruled by the Fatah Palestinian group, could not monopolize the use of force. And that means that, okay, in any country, only the government can legally use force. It can tell its soldiers, its police officers to use force in certain contexts and situations, and it will be legal. But any other civilian can't just decide to take a weapon and shoot other person, even if he thinks that is the right thing to do, because the governments monopolize the use of force. But the PA, the Palestinian Authority, could not do it, and other groups like Hamas continued to have ammunition and guns and act like a small army within the state. So Mahmoud Abbas, the ruler of the Palestinian Authority, he didn't try to confront them militarily, and instead tried to negotiate with them into concessions. But Hamas then kidnapped a Israeli soldier inside Israeli territory, killing 2 other soldiers in the way, proving that he doesn't care that we left. He wants all of Israel. He will never cease the terror acts until all of Jews in Israel are dead. And after that, Hamas was elected to rule the Gaza Strip, and the civil war began between Hamas and Fatah, leading to a massive bloodbath, which by the end of it, Hamas took full control of the Gaza Strip and did not hold any election since. After that, based on the acts of Hamas since the disentanglement, Israel declared Hamas as a hostile force and controls the import to the Gaza Strip for security reasons, because we can't let an organization that vowed to eliminate us, kill every single Jew, or expel every single Jew, to just import whatever it likes and arms itself to any extent, and then be able to murder many Jews. So really, we have no chance. It was the least that we could have done to protect ourselves. And obviously, we know now, not enough. So let's talk a little bit about Hamas. And I would like to read for you some sample sections out of the Hamas Charter, which is sort of their constitution. It's a document that lays down the fundamental the ideas and rules and aspirations of this organization. And it was reapproved and revisited lastly in 2017. First, the Islamic resistance movement Hamas is a Palestinian Islamic national liberation and resistance movement. Its goal is to liberate Palestine and confront the Zionist project. So in the very first, they state that they were enemies. Its frame of reference is Islam, which determines its principles, objectives, and means. Alright, so far, not that bad. They say that they are our enemies, they oppose us here. Let's see where it goes. Another section. Palestine, which extends from, and note this, from River Jordan in the east to the Mediterranean Sea in the west, and from Ras El Nakwa in the north to El Rashrash in the south. Full stop. And I took the map of Israel from Google Maps and tried to show you the locations that they refer to. So on the north to south axis, north to east, sorry, you can see that it's all of Israel, and on the west to south, it's all of Israel. So basically, they say Israel shouldn't exist at all in any format. It's going to be a Palestinian state, and you are all going to be expelled or die. Let's go on. Is an integral territorial unit. It is the land and the home of the Palestinian people. The expulsion and banishment of the Palestinian people from their land and the establishment of the Zionist entity therein do not annul the right of the Palestinian people to their entire land and do not entrench any right therein for the usurping Zionist entity. Basically, shouldn't be in Israel, we're gonna eliminate it, don't want coexistence, nothing like that. Just war and kill them all. Now we will jump to section 8. By virtue of its justly balanced middle way and moderate spirit, Islam, for Hamas, provides a comprehensive way of life and an order that is fit for purpose at all times and in all places. Jumping ahead to the last sentence. Hamas also believes that Palestine has always been and always will be a model of coexistence, tolerance, and civilizational innovation, which doesn't bother them when they slaughter their own Palestinian brothers, the Fatah, or the children of Jews. And I think it's very laughable, because look how many countries and institutions in the world recognize Hamas as a terror group, terror organization. Australia, Canada, the whole European Union, obviously Israel, Japan, Paraguay, the United Kingdom, and the United States. So basically, all of the major players in the West free world, not only West by the way, but the whole democratic free world, understand that Hamas is a terror group. Section 15. The Zionist project does not target the Palestinian people alone. It is the enemy of the Arab and Islamic Ummah, which is an Arabic word for community, posing a grave threat to its security and interests. And of course, this is a blatant lie, because Israel is a free religion state that has no further territorial or religious aspirations. And as evidence, you can see here a picture of all of the Arabic politicians, some of the Arabic politicians that we have in our legislative body, the Knesset. Because we don't mind Islam, Christianity, everything else. You're all welcome here if you respect human lives and human rights. So this section is just a lie. 26. Hamas rejects any attempt to undermine the resistance and its arms. It also affirms the right of our people to develop the means and mechanisms of resistance. Managing resistance in terms of escalation or de-escalation, or in terms of diversifying the means and methods, is an integral part of the process and managing the conflict. And there are two key things to point here. First, de-escalation is a tactic. Every time you get to a ceasefire with them, it's not because they care about our life or even their own life of the citizens of Gaza. They will only agree to a ceasefire if they think that in the long run it will increase their chances to obliterate the Israeli country. And also, the meaning of this section is that they see the battle of information as another battleground that they need to win by any means necessary, even if it means just lying, misleading the truth, releasing purposely edited videos and images that that are just not true. Whatever it takes to convince you that they are the good guys. But they know that it's a lie, and it is a lie. Israel is a democratic country and does everything it can for coexistence, to achieve peace, and to avoid unnecessary civilian casualties. And I want to end with the images of all of the children that were kidnapped to Gaza and are held as hostages by Hamas. We will not rest until they are back safely home, and I pray that it will happen sooner rather than later.